Scooterheads, I'm going to go out on a limb and say you're going to learn something new in this episode because we are talking about, yes, scootering, but where? Scootering in Kazakhstan, officially called, the Republic of Kazakhstan. It's in Central Asia, partly in Eastern Europe, borders Russia in the north and west, China in the east, and Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, and Turkmenistan in the south. The capital's Nur Sultan, but most people probably know it as Astana because they recently changed the name. Almaty is the largest city. It was the country's previous capital until 1997. It's the world's largest landlocked country. If that ain't enough facts for you, it's also the world's largest Muslim majority country by land area. It's also the 9th largest country in the world with a population of about 19 million people, and it has one of the lowest population densities in the world. That's 15 people per square mile or 6 people per square kilometer. And today we have with us Beidu, who lived in Kazakhstan and recently came back to the States. He is a full-time skier. He has skied his whole life. He's been a lumberjack, an engineer, an architect, and he's not an expert on scooters. In fact, he's never ridden one, but he's going to, and that's going to be a future episode. He is a downhill mountain bike rider. This guy does it all, and he can do anything. He does it all from his DIY van, which is really something to behold. He's taken me through it from top to bottom, from the rear-mounted, people have said coffin-looking middle finger of a trailer that sticks straight up into the air behind his van that holds his skis, to his diesel heater, to his refrigerator, everything you would ever need to live in a cold environment, he has in this van. He skis Colorado, Utah, Washington State, wherever the powder is primo, he's ready to go. And we have him with us today to talk about Kazakhstan. On the Electric Scooter Podcast, we like to take an international view of scooters. I dedicated an entire episode to Ecuador, a partial episode to Thailand. We're going to do the Philippines. We're going to explore Mexico. We've got a lot of things coming up that are very exciting. But Beidu, I understand that you were recently in Kazakhstan, and you actually, did you know somebody who had a scooter? Was the guy you were telling me about that had the accident, was that on a scooter, or was that? Tell us tell us a little bit just about Kazakhstan, where it is, what it's like to live there, how scooters are perceived in Kazakh society and that kind of thing. Just whatever you want. Just go ahead and start talking.
Well, Kazakhstan, it's a very large landlocked country. I think it is the largest landlocked.
It is the largest landlocked country in the world. Yes.
And it borders on the north with Russia. To the south, it has Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, and Tajikistan. On the east, it has China. And China. And it's a beautiful. Almaty was the old capital of Kazakhstan during the Soviet era. They moved it up north to a place called Astana, and you'll notice if you look at the Tour de France, there's always Team Astana, and they're actually quite a powerful team. They do very well in the Tour de France and all the other, what I call it, trophy races.
So is it kind of like Brazil did, and also the country of Belize, where they move the capital someplace to build that capital up, make more people come and move and live there?
Yeah, well, the thing is that Almaty was starting to become very polluted, especially in the wintertime, because as an old Soviet bloc country, they provide heating for free to everybody.
Oh.
And so they have central boilers, 3 of them in Almaty, in the city, that provide hot water and steam to all the buildings which heat them. And the funny thing about it is a lot of these old buildings don't have any way to regulate that heat. And so
What?
on October 15th till May 15th, they turn on the boilers, and ready or not, here it comes. And I've been told the building I was in, I had some valves that I could control to regulate the flow of that hot water going through my radiators. But the other parts of the country, other parts, they just open the windows up. And we're talking about 10 degrees outside.
And they're opening the windows because they're too hot.
Yeah, they're too hot. And so this is Soviet efficiency at its finest. Now, what makes, if that wasn't comical enough, the sad part is mixing comedy and tragedy is they heat those 3 power plants up by coal. And so what happens is they get this very, very thick layer of smog in there from the coal plants. You can smell it in the morning. You can smell it in your clothes. If you go up skiing, up to the ski area that is 25 minutes up the mountain, you see just the thick blanket of purple smoke down below, and you can smell it when you go down in it. And so that's been something that they've been trying to fix with alternative fuels. But getting back to scooters.
Well, Almaty is a much larger city than the capital of Astana. Is that a
fair?
fair?
Yeah. Well,
okay.
Yeah, you're right. Well, Astana is they decided to relocate up closer to Russia, and it's a new city. They put a lot of money in it because Kazakhstan is the most wealthy of all the Stan countries.
Kazakhstan is the most wealthy of all the Central Asian countries, and they all end in Stan, right?
Right. And then, of course, the South, not part of Central Asia, but kind of, it's Afghanistan, Pakistan. They're south of all that. But they have the Tian Shan mountain range, which gets quite high. I think the highest mountain in there is maybe 25,000 feet. So it's getting up there.
And that borders China, because Tian Shan is Chinese.
Yeah.
word.
And the whole Almaty in the south, they have the mountain range. And then it goes down into the foothills. And then the foothills slope sharply as you go north. You can get on a scooter with no power and go from the south to north, just flying down the hills.
Wow.
And you can go at least 10 miles like that. But getting back, you take the bus or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
is it straight, like big, flat, straight roads, or is it
yes,
curvy?
a very good asphalt, because that city was set up as a Soviet city, and it's really quite modernized, and it's very clean, and you can tell it has a lot of money there. Just by the cars that these guys are driving. Everybody has these G63 AMG Mercedes, Glendy wagons and stuff, and Mercedes and Bentleys. I mean, they have a lot of money in that city.
What did you say, Glendy wagon?
Yeah, Glendy wagon is, that's what they call that boxy Mercedes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah, those are like $130,000 or something.
And this is the AMG version that all these guys are driving.
Wow.
So you see those everywhere. That's like a regular car. Anyway, so very smooth asphalt, great sidewalks. They have the Soviet bloc apartment buildings, but those are very clean. They're well kept, and they have parks in between them and walkways, which are just long parks with pavers, and that's the way I would walk to work, down the hill and back 45 minutes each way.
But it would be nice if you had a scooter. Well, you probably want to get exercise, but for a lot of people, they probably would, to get from the parking lot maybe to their condo. In
Almaty, the first thing that struck me is how many scooters that everybody had, because cars are very expensive. A lot of the Kazakhs don't make as much money as they would like. And being practical, going from your apartment down to work, which might be 2 miles down the hill and back, it's perfect with their smooth pavers and roads and everything. And they have bike paths all over the place. and that's where most of the scooters go.
Well, with a car, I mean, first the purchase price of the vehicle, then registration, then insurance, and then gasoline to go 2 miles, as opposed to a scooter that you can charge overnight in where you live, in your condo.
Yeah, well, that's part of it. The major reason is parking. There is no parking, as in all cities, there is no parking.
But it's such a huge country, you would think. Don't they have big, wide roads and lots? Isn't it spread out?
Well, the city probably came into existence maybe in the 1800s. Mm-hmm. And so the Soviets did organize it on a grid, which is very practical. And they have exceptional monuments. The monuments and the parks there, and
I've seen them on YouTube. They like big, massive buildings and statues and stuff, right?
Yes, and the other thing is they have parks everywhere. They're in between. Every once in a while, you'll have these huge parks, and they have the most spectacular plants and flowers there. And so they manicure the flowers into shapes or into pictures of things or into patterns. And I've never seen any place like that.
But isn't it kind of a desert area? I know it gets really cold in the winter, but isn't it sort of desert? Is it high steps?
That's not at the foothills right at the base of that mountain range. Those actually have lots of water from the snow runoff.
Oh, yeah.
So there's plenty of water there. And in fact, that's one of the Silk Roads going through Almaty. And so if you look at Geography of China on YouTube, then they explain how that whole thing is set up, and you can see these little, 10 or 20 Silk Roads, and they all go by the foothills of all these mountain ranges where it meets the flats.
By the way, it's pronounced China.
China. Yeah. And I think aren't most scooters made in China?
I think over 90% are made in China. I really do believe. There are some that are made in Singapore, a couple in Taiwan, a couple in Korea. The Weeped is made in Korea. And, of course, there's the Monstera, which is made in Latvia. So you're saying you see a lot of scooters. Are they everywhere? Are they a nuisance, or are they pretty much adhering to rules? Are they on sidewalks, on the streets, or what?
I think... first of all, Kazakhs are very courteous people, and I don't think you'll see that much, if any, road rage, because people are basically very chilled there. The other thing is there's plenty of room in the city for scooters to go, because they made a point of making these really super wide sidewalks, and they'll take like a 6-foot lane, and that's just for bicycles, and that's where all the scooters go. But they weave in and out, and they go here, they go there, and they're the much smaller scooters than the big one you have, but it's probably like your tiny one.
Like the Go Tracks.
Yeah.
I have 5 scooters, and they go from Go Tracks, which is maybe a $250 scooter, up to the Wolf Warrior 11 Plus and Apollo in between, and Fluid Freeride Horizon. I kind of try to represent every model of scooter in my quiver.
Yeah, so Almaty lives at the base of the foothills, and from there, right out of my house, and one of the reasons I went there was because of skiing. And you go out right outside my door, and less than, a quarter mile, even an eighth of a mile, and then the mountain range, and you're climbing. And so I would get on my road bicycle. I used to ride bicycles a lot. I still do, mountain bikes, but this is a road bike. I would ride it up to the ski resort. It's called Shimbolak. And it's a huff and a puff. And before I left, I started seeing all these scooters that were going up there, and I could tell these guys were getting more and more powerful scooters because they were motoring their way up. Now, all I could say about motoring up, it's too bad that wasn't an AC motor, because going down, you regenerate power.
Oh, yeah.
And so those guys, it's a one-way trip going up there, and I guess you can coast on yours if the battery gets low, can you?
Oh, you can, and there's also regenerative braking. There's a setting.
Okay, so they do have AC, some type of AC in there to do the generation as you go back down.
Oh, I don't know. That sounds technical. I know it has regenerative braking, and it's kind of irritating. I don't like it.
It makes
and probably
noise.
most people turn it off. It's one of the first things I did was turn it off.
Well, if you're going up to Shimbulak, you definitely turn it on because that's a long way down.
I would do it on the way down. On the way down, there's just a little P setting that you can click even the level of regenerative braking that you.
Yeah, it was about seven miles up to Shimbulak from my house.
Oh, the Wolf Warrior, that's nothing. You'd get to the top and you'd have 95% battery.
But you know what's cool about those scooters now that I think about it is there's a international Olympic type ice rink up there. It's called Medeo. They have like all the Russians come and do their ice racing on those motorcycles with the spikes coming out of the wheels.
Oh.
And that's really cool. But from there, you have to take a gondola up to the ski resort.
Which, by the way, let me break in real quick. The Mosfera comes with 3 types of tires. You select which you prefer. One is street tires, one is knobby, and the other is ice tires. You can order the 17-inch ice tires for the Mosfera.
They have like studs, like a car in Colorado in the mountains.
Yeah. So you're in the gondola going up, and then what?
Well, you get to the base of the ski mountain called Shimbulak, and that is quite a huff and a puff. I think it must hit 26% grade towards the top, and I can't even make it on a road bike. My gearing just doesn't allow me to climb.
A scooter.
Yeah, and then once you get up there, there's a lot of footpaths that are smooth. There's probably a potential for that scooter making it all the way to the top of the ski slopes.
And then once you get there, there's cool places to cruise around the ski slopes?
Well, no, because it's basically you're in a grass field with rocks and you don't know what's in there.
Oh.
It's just nature.
Could be covered with snow, and then you don't know what's under the snow.
But all ski resorts have access roads because in the summer, if they're going to work on the chairlifts and they bring stuff up. So the access roads in the summer are I would say, easily negotiated with any electric scooter.
Oh, and that would be fun. Where are you girls from? Austria? Well, throw another shrimp on the Barbie and fire up the Electric Scooter Podcast. Didn't you say you had a buddy who rode an electric scooter?
Yeah, he did for a while till he broke his ankle.
He broke his ankle? How did he broke his ankle on the scooter? Or was it a scooter-related ankle busting? Or
yes, I believe so.
What happened? Tell me about it. Oh, this could be a good tale of caution for our listening scooter heads.
Well, he got into some argument with I don't know, another scooter guy.
Road rage?
A pedestrian. I don't know what it was. All I heard is that from his wife is that he was yelling at somebody and he turned his head and he was still yelling at him. Instead of going up on the sidewalk where it has the ramp, he hit the curb. And
was he wearing a helmet?
Yes.
Oh, that's good.
But he did break his ankle.
Yeah. I always encourage scooter heads to ride high top shoes. And you could even hurt your ankle, and I have many times, just by slapping it into either your kickstand or the side of your scooter or some rock or curb that you're going by too close. Now, how did that happen to me? It is rare because I would always wear high-top shoes or boots when I get on my scooter. But there are sometimes you go to someone's house, you're not expecting to ride a scooter, and they go, hey, check this out. Hey, I got an extra. Let's go around the block, or let's go do this. Or I was in Ecuador, and I went to the southern city of Cuenca, and the wife and I are walking down the street, and boom, there's Travelissima, a place that rents out scooters and sells scooters. And I jumped in, rented a scooter. There's a whole video about that. There's a podcast about that too. Scooting the streets of Cuenca. So in those situations where you're not expecting to ride a scooter, I may have low top shoes on. But otherwise, if you know you're scooting, always wear high top shoes. Your buddy might not have saved himself from a broken ankle, but he may have. It could be. It depends what, you probably don't know the details, whether it was twisted or if he just slammed it against the curb, well, then maybe high-top shoes would have protected his ankle.
I think it was a normal curb that you see in the city, but it was definitely one of those scooters with the real tiny wheels on it.
8.5-inch wheels. Did he continue scooting after that, or that was the end of scooting?
I don't know.
So if you were in downtown Almaty, which is spelled Almaty, are you seeing scooters buzzing by like everywhere, or just occasionally you'll see somebody?
In the city center, which I would say is maybe 5 miles either way, east or west from my house, and maybe 10 miles north, you see them everywhere. And they're buzzing through all those blocks of buildings, going to work and stuff. And Almaty is a great place because it's a walking city too. I walk to work 45 minutes each way, or you can take a bus. And the bus system is probably one of the most advanced ones I've seen in the world, because you get an app on your phone. You type in the place, you just tag the location you want to go to, and it'll show you the buses you take to go there. And not only that, it shows you the location where those buses are. So you can say, oh, it's right around the corner. It's going to be here in like 7 minutes.
Oh, kind of like when you get an Uber where it shows the actual progress of the vehicle. Oh,
and so I thought that was quite advanced for that place. And it's one of the more modern cities I've been to, because the when you have that much wealth, of course, the extreme is go to Dubai or Abu Dhabi, and you look at the buildings they have there. That's nuts.
Let me tell you, there are a lot of Filipinos riding scooters in Dubai. And shout out to you folks, ESCU. I know there's a couple clubs out there. If you would like to be interviewed, I would love to interview you here at the Electric Scooter Podcast. So get a hold of me at dagwoodstreets@gmail.com.
I went to architectural engineering school at first, and then I switched to civil. But in architectural engineering school, as a structural engineer, you could go to Dubai and spend 2 weeks just marveling at all the buildings there, because the building design is unparalleled anywhere else on the planet. If every single building owner went to an architect and said, here is a limited amount of money,
do the craziest thing you ever dreamed of.
Here's the lot size, here is the height requirement that you're allowed, and I want you to build me the most spectacular thing anybody's ever seen in his life. Now imagine 1,000 buildings like that. Mm-hmm. And you just walk in there and you go, this is just nuts. One of them, from the side view, it's like a upside down trapezoid, thin at the bottom, and it gets really wide at the top. And you look at that and go, how in the world does that thing stand? That's not possible. How does that work? And then you go to the other side, and it's the exact opposite. It's a trapezoid with a fat base, and it has curved glass going on it, so you don't really notice that happening.
The last place we stayed in Dubai, when you looked out the window, if you looked down, you saw, those man-made islands that they're making there. They're very famous. It's like supposed to represent the world geography or whatever. And then if you look to the right, I might release this on a video. I don't know. It has nothing to do with scooters. But on the right was the Burj Khalifa.
Yeah, the Burj Khalifa is right by the Dubai Mall. This mall is the one that has a ski area inside it.
Oh, yeah. We didn't go to that one because that one's not off of the train, right? We went to, I think there's 5 of them off the train stop, that monorail or whatever they have. Yeah, I don't think the one you're talking about is on the train line. That's why we didn't go.
I always took taxis when I was there, so I didn't really. I don't know if I took a train ride. Well, anyway, the Burj Khalifa is a marvel to be seen. This is the Bellagio times 1,000 when you go there, because it's at the base of this. You go into this mall. It just, like I said, they have a ski area in there. It's about, I think it's 5 stories. So you can ski. You can also, they have the largest aquarium in there in the world. And they have sharks in there, and big grouper and all kinds of stuff, manta rays.
Grouper, I hardly know her. And there he goes, Scooter Heads. Beidu, architect, parasailer, skier, mountain biker, nearly full-time DIY van guy. And I think we're going to hear more from him. He brought an ukulele to the interview, and that's what you're hearing in the background is him and I. He's playing the nice licks, and I'm playing the junk. Boy, he had the most beautiful ukulele I've ever laid eyes on in my life. A Mark Evans, made in the Big Island. Anywho, as Jimi Hendrix said, the only thing that really gets me there is to hear you laugh without a care. So until next time, keep the shiny side up and the dirty side down. And by the way, what do you think might be a little rhythm sound in the background? No, that's just Beidu's shirt button hitting against the ukulele as he plays.